Howdy folks, StrayCat74 here. We are outside the basement of solitude in my work truck. This is a special video for you. Not only do you get an update on the Raviloi Forge 2.0, but you also get to choose what kind of knife I make. I'm going to ask you to leave a comment in the comment section below this video after you hear the options, because there's a few options. This is a $50 piece of steel. This is a 1/4 inch thick, 1.5 inch wide, 18 inch long piece of O1 steel that I had to special order. The options are, I can make one really long chopper, like a short sword or hatchet, or not a hatchet, machete, or I can make this into two knives, one about 1 foot long, and then one about 6 inches long, because that's about what's going to be left over here on the end. Option 3 is I can make the 1 foot long overall, that's not blade length, knife, and then the 6 inch piece here I can cut in half and make two smaller versions of the exact same thing. What I'm going to try and do is, if this gets cut into 2 or 3 pieces, it will be same design here as the small one, or small ones. So you get to choose one knife, 2 knives, or 3, and what type of knife. Is this going to be a bowie style knife with the little notch taken out here and coming up to a point, a cooking style knife where it curves up and then has the handle near the top, or clip point, spear point. Try not to make it too terribly exotic, because, well, I'm not very good yet. After the votes are counted, and you only get a week, my next home time is going to be August the 2nd, or the weekend of the August the 2nd, and I'm going to go through the comment section and see. I want you to put 3 things in there. First, 1, 2, or 3 for the number of knives, and then below that a comment of what kind of knife. And then the third comment is, I have an Etsy store, which I haven't actually posted anything to, but I also do eBay. If I put it on Etsy, it will be whatever price I determine to sell them for. And this will be either 1, 2, or 3 knives, all for sale on that. Like I said, it's $50 piece of steel, so the minimum cost is going to be that, plus other materials like handle materials and stuff. Since I'm an amateur, I'm not going to charge for my labor, just because I'm doing this as much to teach myself as I am to sell the knives and be able to afford more stuff. Or, since I do eBay, I can put them all, 1, 2, or 3, onto eBay, start it at materials cost, and let it go up from there. The more you bid, the higher the bid, the more of these I can afford to make. Videos and knives. This is just... Whoa, sorry about that. This is just one way I can make a knife. I'm still working on the forge, and I'm going to show you the forge update here in a moment. So you get to choose what kind of knife I make, and you get to see the forge updates. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm sorry this has ran 4 minutes, and all I've done is talk and explain shit. So let's get to that, shall we? Let's see if I can do this one-handed. I already have the tank on, the regulator adjusted. We turn that, and come on, there it goes. Okay, let's run this down until you see it start to turn green, right about there. See how it's a little bit on the green side? That's too lean. That's about right. And that's way too rich. back this down a little bit more.
About there's about perfect. You can see just in here there's a dark cone. That's unburnt fuel. Then there's a bright cone. That's the hottest part of the flame. About halfway down the tube it starts to get warm. So turn this off. Wow, that is loud, isn't it? Turn the tank closed and then bleed off that last little bit of pressure there. And then secure that. So that's the quick operations of a Venturi style forge burner. Pardon the extra welds on the bracket there. I made it a little too short. The nozzle end has been tapered so it'll fit in my burner collar once the forge itself is ready. The insides, let me turn the light on. If I can get it to focus now. The threads, I'm not sticking my finger in there, but the threads up in here have all been dremeled out and ground smooth so that on the exit it has as smooth of a path as possible, and as you can see straight through there. I mean, there really isn't a whole heck of a lot to these things. You just have to know how to do it. And we'll go over the construction of that when I have all of the part names in front of me. Here's one of my spare torches. I actually made 2 of these. This is a 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer, a 6-inch black pipe nipple, 1/2 inch. It's called a nipple because there's threads on both ends. Then there's another 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer. Then the only welding I really had to do was this bracket here. This is a MIG tip going into a 1/4 inch brass plug that has been drilled and tapped to receive the MIG tip. Then there's a coupler going into a 2-inch brass nipple with an adapter to go to the ball valve, and this is an adapter that goes to the propane hose. All of the designs that I have seen so far, let me turn the light off, there we go, include the ball valve. Some of them have an idler circuit where there's a ball valve and a threaded needle valve here with a tube that goes around. That way you can set the needle valve for low idle, and then the ball valve that's at idle because it's closed, and that's full bore. So you can save a few pennies on propane. Some people have suggested having a ball valve, then a needle valve, so you have your emergency off. Well, actually, that's on, that's off. So you have your ball valve to do the on-off, then a needle valve to control precise flow. But since I have a manually regulated regulator, I don't need that. Well, I could use it, but I don't have to have it. Quick follow-up to last video, I ended up having to drill the other hole for the vent because when doing the mold, all up in this section here was nothing but a large void in the top of the can. So I ended up having to put my 4-inch tube back in and then drill this hole here so that I could fill in this void. So I'm going to have to modify how I do this next time. Last time I left both the ends on, put a 4-inch hole for the mold, for the center core tube. Next time I'm going to cut one of... Yeah, that gets annoying, doesn't it? Okay, now that he's not impact wrenching, I'm going to cut one of the bottoms off, as well as both tops, and leave one bottom in place. Drill the hole on one side, then flip it completely over so the bottom is on the bottom, and then this is completely open, so when I put my mold in here, I can just pour the whole everything all the way in and not worry about getting the torch holes. I still have to put the feet into place before I do the molding, so, and I still have to come up with a better way to attach these two together. And I'm eventually going to take that tape off, but the dings in there are from where I dropped the drill bit and some of the material fell. And you can't really see on that side because, yeah, there we go. But that's going to be the gas forge. Let me make an adjustment here. And I turn this around a little bit so it doesn't fall off the frickin' tailgate of my truck here. So it's going to sit like that. You can still see all the way through with torch hole 1 and torch hole 2. I do have the burner collars made. We were just welding the nuts on that here a little bit ago, but it's in where the air compressor is running and you won't be able to hear me. Oh, piece of cardboard tube here is what I used to mold the first hole and then grind out the form, or the refractory. As you can see, I made a little bit of a mess trying to get the extra form material up in here and in here. I mean, there was a spot like this wide, and I had to have it canted off at a little bit of an angle like this to get it to fill up. But getting closer. I'm going to do some JB weld to hold the burner collars into place, and we'll see how that works. Lock up firing test 1. We don't have the burn collars in place, so I'm just holding it with my hand. So now I got the burner collars in place. You can see all the JB weld up in there to hold that in. These are carriage nuts that screw in that are going to hold the torch there. Matter of fact, let me turn. And it's going to go in a little bit more than that. I gotta grind on this just a little bit more. That one's still wet, but again, it just goes in about yay far. Now I can't do camera and put the torch in at the same time. But it's going to be kind of like that. It's not going to, the tip's not going to stick through here. It's going to be up inside the collar more. So, there, and there. And that's what that's going to look like.